I'm Maitri Sitaraman. Welcome to Real Economy, which is traveling across Vienna, Berlin and Paris this week. Where on the show, we'll speak to the International Energy Agency's chief economist, Fatih Birol, about the challenges Europe faces with struggling economies and our households. We'll look at Germany's energy prices and whether they're sustainable. And most importantly, can Europe's single market only come out to play if we have the security of controlling our own resources? The cold is really here now, so it's a good time to ask ourselves, do we really understand why, say, natural gas prices went up across Europe last year, but when we saw big price hikes in Croatia, Lithuania, Portugal and Spain, we also saw big drops in countries like Slovenia and Hungary. So why the difference? And what is the makeup of these energy bills we pay? Here's a crash course.
When you look at your energy bill, you know how much you have to pay, to whom and when. This is based on usage, but here's how your bill breaks down. The main element is wholesale costs. That's what energy companies pay for gas and electricity. So the charge of producing or buying gas or building and operating electricity generating units. These can either be bought on the wholesale market or from a generator. Sometimes your supplier may even be part of that generator. There are also retail charges, the price of selling energy to the final consumers, you. Then we move on to transmission costs, when companies pass on to you their cost of using the high-pressure gas and high-voltage network of a transmission company. They also pass on the cost of building, maintaining and operating pipes and wires. Finally, there are taxes. These vary depending on where you live and consist of recoverable taxes, such as VAT, and non-recoverable taxes, where everything goes to the taxman.
We know electricity prices have been going up steadily across Europe, whether you're a household or a business. And in many countries, especially the ones trying to gain energy independence, taxes make up a bulk of your bill. So if you're a family in Germany, Denmark and Portugal, your bill has the highest proportion of taxes in Europe. If you're a business in Germany or Italy, you top that list. So, since Germany keeps popping up, Emily Ruffey went to Berlin, considered to be the most expensive city for electricity, to see how people's wallets and budgets are holding up.
Candlelight helps Christine to relax, but she also uses it to reduce her energy bill. This Berliner has had enough of paying for Germany's energy transition.
Ja, ich zahle monatlich 50 Euro.
I pay €50 a month and live alone in a 55 square metre apartment. I'm angry about the bill. Not because I can't pay, I work. But there's no reason I should be paying so much. And it increases each year. That's why I change provider every year.
Anbieter das mal sehen vielleicht.
Christine has the choice of more than 100 energy suppliers and can save money on her bill by switching. But most people don't know this, and it doesn't help when energy providers don't clearly communicate the option. Energy associations are set up to help.
We've noticed the poorest households are no longer able to pay their electricity bill. At the beginning, there were only 4 districts affected in Berlin. Now we help people throughout the city.
Germany has the most expensive electricity in Europe, costing almost 30 cents per kilowatt hour, compared to a European average of 20. The country's decision to go green has left consumers picking up the tab.
Over the last years, they have further increased because of the renewables deployment in Germany by about 15 to 20%. The main part of the cost increase was linked to this use of new technologies when they were still very expensive. As I mentioned, now photovoltaic is quite cheap already, and therefore we expect not that much cost increase anymore in the future.
Today, renewable energy represents around 30% of Germany's total electricity production, but conventional fuels are still needed.
To compensate for the phasing out of nuclear energy and the high cost of gas, Germany has gone back to coal. Old coal factories, such as the one you see behind me, are in use once more. 45% of Germany's electricity now comes from these factories. But although cheap, coal is not ecological.
Joining us now is Fatih Birol. He is the chief economist of the International Energy Agency and the man considered the global authority on everything related to energy. Green subsidies were supposed to bring prices of renewable energy in parity with conventional energy, but that's not happening. Are we on the right path when it comes to energy policies in Europe?
When we try to push the green fuels, it is a problem for the increase of the energy prices. But if we use the cheap energy sources, such as coal, it is a problem for the climate change. So the important thing is to find the optimum here, and the German government, like many other governments, is now working very hard in order to cut the subsidies from some green energy projects which will never ever be profitable. I think they are going in the right direction.
You've got an issue where a conventional energy person has to come in and say, I can't burn gas, I have to burn coal, defeats the purpose of the green targets that we have.
It is for sure that the share of coal in the European electricity generation is going to decline. You have wind, solar in your country. But there is one big problem. The highest demand of electricity in Europe is in the evening in February. You don't have sun, and most of the time you don't have wind. So therefore we need also natural gas as a backup technology there. So we need a composition.
Would that also include nuclear? Because that's clean, that's cheap-ish.
What we see is that nuclear will be built more and more outside of Europe. Almost every second power plant, nuclear power plant built in the world, will be in China. Why it is built in many countries? Because it is, as you said, provides cheap electricity, no interruption, but we have two major problems. One is the public concern, public acceptance, especially in Europe. The second one is nuclear power plants require huge investment in the beginning. And in a liberalized market like in Europe, it is very difficult in the absence of government support to find that money. But there are, of course, countries in Europe which want to make use of nuclear power, such as UK, such as Poland, and these countries are doing together with the private sector, but guided by the governments.
When energy prices rise, it reduces the amount of money we have to spend. It also increases the price of goods and services that need energy in our countries. Now that slows down demand and therefore the economy. But in Vienna, for example, they've been investing in projects like the one behind me, where they convert waste into energy with the long-term aim of making prices more stable. Gianni Maggi has the report.
What's the relationship between this mound of agricultural waste from horse stables and this gas station? It's simple. The fuel supplied by the pump has been produced using this waste. We're in Margareten am Moos on the outskirts of Vienna, where Austria's largest biogas plant is located. In Austria, 300 biogas plants produce 550 gigawatt hours of electricity. That can supply the needs of 16,000 homes. The greatest potential lies in the production of biomethane.
Here we have an example of how a community can work towards energy independence. This facility burns the biogas produced, and the electricity coming from it is fed into the national grid. It also produces biomethane, a more refined form of biogas, distributing it through the gas station to refuel vehicles. And finally, the residues from production are used as fertilizer for agricultural crops. It's a full circle solution in times of uncertainty over energy supplies.
In our community, we're independent in terms of energy deliveries. We have our own gas station. So, if one day Mr. Putin turns off the gas, Margareten will still have light and heat.
The private company managing this facility is now implementing similar schemes in other countries, Germany, Italy and the UK, for example.
I
think countries with a lot of agriculture have a big future. There is huge potential to support yourself with biogas, conditioned biomethane with the same chemical structure as natural gas.
European Union member states have pledged support for the transition to a low-carbon, climate-resilient economy, and in the meantime, for greater energy security.
Now we have received proposals by our member states that they will spend nearly 40 billion euro for energy saving and renewable energy production. So I think this indicates clearly that European leaders have understood that we need more independence.
Still with us is Fatih Birol. Mr. Birol, let's talk about green energy and security. Are we supposed to now start bringing in LNG tankers by the portload like Lithuania has done? Or do we have to deal with the Russians?
Renewable energies such as wind, solar, biofuels, these are all very important instruments to improve the energy security, but we cannot only rely on them. We need, for example, natural gas. Russia, I believe, is and will remain a cornerstone of the European energy system for many years to come.
Do you think the European consumer can somewhat look forward to cheaper gas prices?
They very much should, but this will depend on the European governments and European companies. More and more LNG is coming to the market from Africa, from Australia, Middle East, and from North America, United States and Canada. The hands of the European governments are much stronger now. If the European governments come together and have a good negotiation, good discussion with their Russian partners, I think there's a room to bring the gas prices down.
What do you think we can do different when it comes to European energy policies by, say, connecting Europe itself?
The integration of the European energy markets, for me, this is the most critical decision that the European countries can take and pursue this policy. Let me just give you one example. Today in Spain, we have a lot of gas-fired power plants which are idle. If we have the system, interconnection system throughout Europe, they can well be used, the electricity, in Poland. It will be a good news for Spain because the idle plants will work and they will make money. And it will be good for Poland. Instead of burning coal, they can use the Spanish electricity at affordable prices. So the integration of the markets will make the hands of Europeans much more stronger, in addition to bring the cost of energy down.